Hi everybody, this is to help you with question number 2 on CR number 8, extended response. It says simplify and solve the following equation. You must show all your work to receive full credit. All right, so the first thing we are going to do is we are going to distribute. So I'm going to go ahead, circle the number that I'm distributing, which is the -2. I'm going to multiply it by each term inside of the parentheses. First thing I always think to myself is taking care of the integer rules. So I always say a negative times a positive is a negative. So now that that negative sign is written, all I have to think about is the multiplication. Well, 2 times x is 2x. Once again, I'm going to think about the integer rules. So a negative times a positive is a negative, and 2 times 4 is 8. So I've taken care of that first set of parentheses. For the second set, I like to put a 1 here if there is not anything written in front of those parentheses, because then I'm distributing a -1, and that's what I want to go ahead and focus on, is that that is actually a -1. So first thing, once again, a negative times a positive is a negative. I write it down. 1 times x is 1x. I write it down. A negative times a negative is a positive, so I put that down first. And then 5 times 1 is 5. Now the 2x is not a part of the parentheses, so all that I do is bring down that 2x right here. And that still equals -10 on the other side. Now I want to go ahead and combine my like terms. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to change colors real quick to make that a little bit easier for you to see. And I work left to right, and I notice I have x's, and I also have no's. I remember no's just means constants, and I write no's because it just means no variable. For x's, I have a -2x, and I'm going to cross out as I go to make sure I've combined all of them. I have a -1x, and I cross that one out as well, and then I have a +2x. Now for my no's, I have a -8, so I'm going to go ahead and put that here, and I cross it out as I go. Oop, forgot about that. Let me cross that out. I have a +5, and it looks like that might be it. Looks like I've also included everything that we can do on the left side of the equal sign. Now remember, the -10, because it's on the opposite side of the equal sign, I do not include in my combination columns here, my x's or my no's, and that's because they are on the other side of the equal sign. So first, let's start with our x's. What I love is that -2x and +2x are opposites. So they go ahead and cancel each other out because when I put them together, they have a value of 0. So in that column, I'm left with a -1x. And then for the no's, I have a -8 and a +5. You can put that in your calculator as -8 plus 5. But if I like to think about it just without a calculator, I know I have more negatives than positives because I have 8 negatives and 5 positives. So then I write my negative sign down here. How many more negatives do I have than positives? Well, I have 3 more negatives than positives. So this now is this entire left-hand side simplified. So I'm going to go ahead and write -1x minus 3 equals -10. Now it's just a 2-step equation, so much easier to handle. So I'm going to go ahead and change colors so I can see my next step. I go ahead and draw my ladder in. I know that I'm going to add 3 to both sides because the opposite of subtracting 3 is adding 3. Perfect. These 3's cancel out. I'm left with -1x. Bring down my equal sign. And -10 plus 3, I have more negatives than positives, so my answer has to be negative. And I actually have 7 more negatives than I do positive, so it's a -7. But I haven't solved for x yet. I've only solved for -1x. So I still have to divide each side by a -1 in order to make it positive x. These are a fancy form of 1, -1 divided by -1. So I'm left with x equals, and a negative divided by a negative is a positive. 7 divided by 1 is 7. Bam, I'm done. Good luck with that question.